Roundup here on SourceFedNERD. I am Matt Lieberman. Joining me on the couch today, Maude Garrett is here.
Hi, good to be back.
DJ Wooldridge is here.
Hello.
And special guest, Mr. Jon Schnepp.
Hey, what's up, SourceFedNERD people?
Yeah.
What's going on?
This is so great because Schnepp and I used to work together quite a lot, not only
That's right.
doing AMC Movie Talk when it was AMC back in the day, but also your own show,
Yeah,
Sweaty Nerds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
came on. We talked about video games and stuff. She always schooled me because she knows so much more about video games than I do.
that's
so.
okay. We're in your world now because you are Mr. Comic Book, so I'm so glad that we can
Hey,
all
look,
get...
we're all in the same world.
Yeah,
Right? Hey.
we're all in this together, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as always, this show is available on YouTube, on iTunes, on SoundCloud. Wherever you want it, you can get it, okay? We're also taping live every single Friday now at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is the new time. It is not moving. It is not changing.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to watch us live, do so over at SourceFedNERD on YouTube. And if you're on iTunes, maybe you've never been there before, why don't you leave a rating and review? It really, really helps us out. Now, today on the show, as always, we have a question of the day, and it is relating to, John, your new movie, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened?
What happened?
Which
What
is
happened?
an awesome documentary that we watched this week.
You
and
mean this
film?
film right here, guys?
Yes.
Oh, here's one we prepared
It
earlier.
is so
weird.
crazy, entertaining, and super detailed. And like going into it, I'd always considered Superman Lives to be a joke, like a bullet that we had avoided. But now I really want to see this movie. We're asking the question: when or if can there possibly be a great Superman movie? Because I feel like for every Superman movie, and there are some good ones, like Superman the movie is one of my all-time favorite movies, there's still problems with it. Is it possible to make an excellent Superman movie?
Is Superman living in Batman's shadow? Because Batman, I mean, we've seen different versions of that. Even some people, if depending when you grew up, it's like the prequel syndrome. Some people think the Schumacher Batmans are still fine and fun.
Hey, listen, Batman Forever's entertaining, okay?
It has its moments.
It has its moments,
It's
all
a
right?
hard watch, man.
There are
Like,
puns
it's
all through it.
I went back to because there's a few clips as examples in my film from Batman Forever, and it's a hard one, man.
Yeah.
Especially after you've had the Nolan films, then you go back and watch
Back.
like the goofy.
I haven't gone
Two-Face,
back since the Nolan films.
Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, Tom, what are you doing, Tommy Lee Jones? He's like, Two-Face.
I just know it was
ugh.
kids like me that's the reason that movie existed, because Batman Returns scared the shit out of me.
Right.
When
Yeah.
Penguin ate the guy's nose, and then
Totally.
Batman Forever came out, I'm like, I'm all about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's
It
got
makes
colors.
sense. In fact, McDonald's canceled all their like Happy Meals when Batman Returns. They're like, that penguin's too freaky.
Yeah.
We're canceling all that stuff. So that's why they went back a little bit lighter, so that kids could enjoy Batman a
Yep.
little bit. But then they went too far with Batman.
Yes.
Yes.
Like ice skating and stuff. You're like, oh.
Oh yeah, that was
That
pretty nuts.
movie's bonkers. But it's like, it's so funny when you go back to Batman Forever, just how much Jim Carrey is carrying that movie.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he was so good in it.
Yeah.
Who's afraid of the big black bat?
So if you guys want to weigh in on our question of the day, you can write in the chat if you're watching live, or you can tweet at us using the hashtag SHRoundup on Twitter. Now, John, can you talk a little bit about the movie? How long did it take to put together, and like what was the most rewarding part of putting together this documentary?
Well, it took about 2 years and 8 months to actually get it completely finished. And it started out just as an idea that some other people at dinner pitched to me. And I was like, I'm not going to make something like that. And then I was like, about a month later, I was like, why shouldn't I make that? I'm into it. I've been collecting all this artwork. No one else is going to make it, you know, and I knew I could make something like this if I applied myself. So as a challenge, I put it up to myself and threw it on Kickstarter and actually raised the money. And then it took a lot longer and took a lot more money and a lot more time. But me and my small team of like producer Holly Payne, editor Marie Hamora, technical producer Chris Grable, executive producer Rob Pierce, like a really small group of people. We worked on it for like literally almost a solid year and a half of just editing and getting interviews. And it was a lot of work. The thing that I most appreciated out of it was meeting and interviewing and seeing where, because to me it's like this is a product that is not just about Superman, but it's just how Hollywood films are made.
Yep.
So you kind of see, like, you peel back the way this process happens with every single film that all you guys watch, especially in movies, more so than television. Television also has this developmental process, but with movies, tons of artists are put on, and they do different concept designs and create different versions. Like in this film, you see Brainiac, like 10, 15 different versions of
the
Brainiac.
spider.
Yeah,
that
the
was
spider,
so fascinating.
Doomsday, you have all these different ideas of what Krypton might be. And then ultimately the production designer and the director and the producer kind of team up and like kind of look at everything and decide what shape it's going to go in. So
my favorite part about this movie is that there is a trope of the Hollywood producer just being all talk and not really having a clue of what they're talking about. And you have completely just, solidified that trope exists. It is absolutely real.
Well, I wouldn't say
Who
he
are you
doesn't
talking
know.
about, Mom?
I don't.
Which person are you
Here's my
referring to?
feeling about. She's referring to John Peters. I don't think. I think John Peters knew exactly what he was talking about. He didn't necessarily.
Spiders.
He didn't know the lore so much so of Superman, but he knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
Like
Spiders.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is what he referenced when he was like, I wanted Superman's already fought in the first 4 Superman movies. He already fought humans.
Yeah.
Why not have him fight a creature or a beast? And that's where his mindset as a producer was coming from.
Yeah.
He wasn't coming from like a comic book fan, like have him fight the parasite for Christ's sake.
Which is where Kevin Smith was.
Totally.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why they clash so much is because like Peter's was like, give me a giant spider. And Kevin's like, what the fuck are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
Why a
yeah.
giant spider?
Have
So
a different kind of threat.
yeah, so you had those different mentalities. And that's what's so great about Tim Burton. He's able to take both of those ideas, merge them together, and make Brainiac have the weird spider body underneath a weird cloak that was sort of like Mars Attacks. He brought his aesthetic to the whole film. So yeah, I mean, my favorite part was like interviewing the artists, going to Tim Burton's estate and
Oh my
like
goodness.
seeing that volume of art that no one had ever seen before. I put my film out, and just really like also screening it. So Holly and I have been traveling around and screening it in all different places. We went to Australia,
Yahoo!
London. We're going to be going to Canada next month, all around the States as well. And we're actually having a screening here in LA, September 25th to October 1st for a whole week at the Lamleys Music Hall on Wilshire. It's going to be playing for an entire week, 4 screenings a day. So
I already saw it at the Egyptian. That was
right
a
on.
great opener.
Yeah,
and
that was
where-
our big red carpet screening.
And Kevin
so.
Smith came in, and the way that he was talking about it with such passion, and like he's just so kind of in this world. And I think he was so proud that you included him in such a way. He's on the posters, everything.
Yeah, no, Kevin was amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, he is amazing. He's just so much fun to talk to. He's a treasure trove of knowledge. He's funny.
He's very charismatic.
Great interview. It's like literally everything he says, like, that's perfect soundbite. How did you
Yeah.
get so amazing to be able to talk like this? So just the way he thinks is so much fun. Everyone I interviewed was a blast. Literally. There was like, 1 or 2 people that aren't in the movie that I had to just be like, you're not going to be in the film because you're a dick.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
but luckily it was just like, it was a comic book artist guy who was like, it was like the least said about him, the better.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It was one of these things where I was like, wow. But
Would you do like an extended edition? Any kind
No.
of deleted scenes?
no,
Or,
in fact, on our Blu-ray, we have 10 hours of extra features.
Good.
So it's like
Wow.
extra interviews, extra, all the people who didn't make the cut. Like I had to cut a ton of people because as we kept doing the movie, we kept getting closer and closer to the source of what the film was about. So some of what I would call like extraneous footage of fans talking about films or comic book writers or artists who weren't directly involved in the movie, I couldn't make a 3-hour film.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had to be smart about it. So Act 1 became literally just the opening that you see. Originally it was like 30 minutes and it just became like 4 minutes before we go to the credit sequence.
I remember the process of you trying to lock down Tim Burton. And that was a nail biter. That one was just like, can't get a hold of him, but now we know a friend who can possibly tee us up with this person
That's
who may know
right.
him.
I mean, because all the people I worked with were following with me as I would tell them, like, God damn it,
Yeah.
I'm waiting, but I can't say anything. And yet people were like, when are you going to interview this person? I can't announce it yet. It's like, so it is that behind the scenes thing that happens with all of us when we're making stuff. You realize you can't just tell everyone, it's like, you can tell your close friends, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. They're like, man, that sucks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
hope you get it, dude. But
No, but it was really great. And also, if you're not, like, I'm a Superman nut, so that was great. But I also moved to this town to make movies.
Right.
And so it's super fascinating to figure out at that level
Yes.
of creation, to see, like, when you're talking about the concept artist, you're really tapping into the main line of the creativity of that process.
Well, what you said especially is like what makes me feel good about when after people have seen the film, a lot of people would judge the film by that picture of Nicolas Cage with his eyes half open. It was an early costume design. They're like, man, that movie would have sucked. But then once you actually see how far they got and what they were going to try to do, granted, it might not be your ideal Superman movie if you're looking for a Christopher Reeve type film.
Yeah.
But it was definitely exploring a different side of Superman. Nicolas Cage, Oscar-winning actor, was going to try something different. He might not look like everybody's idealized
Right.
Superman, but he's an actor. You would have had an Oscar winner playing Superman. So it would have been a different film entirely. I think Tim Burton was at his height of like he had just made Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
So there's all those things that now people do feel like, man, I wish I could have at least seen what they were going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's like in that period where there were a lot of like very interesting, very big swing, flawed movies that were out. Like, you know, in a wide range of flaws. But like, it's the kinds of movies that don't get made anymore because like people were just out of touch enough that they were taking wilder chances with things that had never been considered fodder for movies before.
Totally. You nailed it. That's what, I mean, we live in 2015 where less and less chances happen because more and more things have to be smoothed out and homogenized for the whole global market. And back then it was like, look, as long as it hits this area and we get this money back, there wasn't the internet exploding the way it is. There was no such theme. There's no YouTube, let alone streaming.
There were
So it was
still
a different
$10 million movies.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that was the thing that was
There was a
most,
middle class and a middle ground for movies.
the most depressing thing watching it is like I don't know if we'll ever see a superhero until the bubble bursts. We won't see a superhero movie like this because it all plays it so safe.
You will definitely. I think you will definitely see movies like that. I think the bubble bursting is already happening. People are getting tired of like the same type of a superhero film. So you'll see different experiments in superhero style films. I know myself, I'm writing one that's off the beaten path just because I'm a nerd. And it's like, this is what I'd like to see.
Exactly.
So if I could make this, that'd be awesome. I know other people are trying different things. So I do think we'll see something, especially look at how everybody like Warner Brothers and Marvel are like, we got our movies blocked out till 2025.
But the
So we
scripts
get-
seem formulaic. It's almost
Yes.
predictable where they're going now.
which,
so you do need
which
that
will
wild
clue
card.
into something we'll talk about later with Kevin Feige. But let me answer your question to like what I think a good Superman movie. I think we've already had great Superman movies. I think Superman the movie was an amazing film for its time, 1970.
1978, yeah.
Beautiful film. I saw it as a little kid. It made me believe a man can fly. I loved that film.
It's an incredible movie.
I love Superman 2 even more because he's fighting the Phantom Zone villains, and you actually had for the first time kind of big budget fighting, which now it's like he just throws a guy into a Coke sign because we're spoiled. We watched Zod get smashed through a million buildings in Man of Steel. Superman 3, less said about the better. Superman 4, questionably horrible. One of the worst. I'd say it's worse than Batman. Batman and Robin.
It's worse than almost anything.
Yeah,
'Cause it's also boring.
Oh my God, it's horrible. Mariel Hemingway floating in outer space, like a million miles away from Earth. You're like, why is she not exploded yet? Oh, that's right, because this movie sucks. Man of Steel, I actually really liked, and there's like people are on the fence about like, why didn't he save a bunch of people? I'm sorry, he saved the planet.
He said the entire planet.
World
Yeah.
by getting rid of these Kryptonian super beings.
Yeah.
Yes, he was forced to kill Zod.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like, and also like my interpretation of that movie is like Superman was only Superman for like 2 days, and then these aliens show up as like, give us Kal-El. He was doing the greatest American hero, and then he just barely learned to fly, and they're like, give him over. And his dad, let's talk about that. That's kind of the weak point.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, he's like, hey man,
That was
I always
odd.
say he was like, can you come and get me, dude? Like he's reaching out his hand, like it was just misinterpreted by a young Clark.
Gabriel Thomas at Gabriel Thomas on Twitter actually echoes your thoughts on Man of Steel. He says, unpopular opinion, Man of Steel is a great movie. It's a movie that needed to happen to make Superman less cheesy for people. I don't
agree.
I feel like there's shades of gray in that. I feel like it took a more direct and realistic approach to his characterization, and one that I felt made sense in our like post 9/11 or like almost post 9/11 world, where we accept that terrible things happen, but now we're starting to have a little bit more fun and we're a little bit more optimistic. I felt like maybe you could have gone a little more optimistic with it, but I appreciate that it was different and it was done big.
I think the thing that was missing for me missing for me from that movie is actually something that seemed to be the core of the Tim Burton one. Was like, for me, the reason I love Superman is that idea of like, we all feel alone. He is.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And understanding that, like, I liked all the talk about who this guy is as a person and how he feels, and I wish there was more of that. And there was thank God it wasn't Superman Returns, where he lifts increasingly heavier things. He actually fights somebody.
Then lifts a planet like a mountain of
Kryptonite, whatever.
Yeah, that movie is horrible. I mean, it's beautifully shot. There's cool scenes in it, but overall, it's so boring.
There was one day I caught it on. I was just flipping on the channel, and my TV was on mute. I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I stopped on it, and it was muted. I was like, you know what? This movie does look really good.
Yeah.
Muted, it's
Oh, dear.
looks nice.
Yeah.
But I would have liked more of like who this guy is as a person and how he feels. I thank God for the action, but
I think you'll get that though in Batman v Superman. I think
that way.
that some of the elements of Superman Lives are going to get echoed in because there's ramifications for him destroying half of Metropolis.
I love that.
That scene
I love
of Bruce Wayne running into the the cloud of destruction. It's sort of like, and then how they you've seen those YouTube clips where some nerd was like, "Look, this is Zod exploding, and it's the reverse of the." So thank you, nerds, for doing that, because that was awesome. I was like, "Damn, that's really accurate." So, it makes sense if they're going to put Superman on trial. There's a whole bunch of people who also fear him, like in Superman Lives. I don't think it would have been Superman Lives wouldn't have had that darker tone to it, but I think Superman and Kal-El would have had that empathy that nerds who read comics, who got bullied as kids, would have been able to connect with Superman for the first time in their lives. It's like, it's not a superhuman dude floating around. It's a person like me who doesn't feel like he fits in.
Yeah,
So
and I think we're going to get that
sense.
more and more, especially when the world and Batman's turning against him. That form of isolation and that feeling of kind of ostracization.
Yeah.
Ostracization.
Yeah.
Ostracization.
We're with you.
Ostriches.
Australian
That feeling
nation.
of
Oh,
ostriches.
bombs.
Yeah. So here, we're going to come back to this closer to the end of the show. I want to talk about news for a little while. So, Maud, what happened this week?
Oh, we got a lot of news happening. Let's kick it off with the big story that I know you guys are itching to kind of get into and talk about. Basically, Kevin Feige, Mr. Marvel, has canned the Marvel Creative Committee, otherwise known as the MCC, including Dan Buckley, John Cassaday, and Brian Bendis. Basically, there's an inside scoop saying that they feel, well, Marvel feels that the Age of Ultron was a flop. Now, I remember doing a movie review with you about that, and you were very, very determined to say that it kind of wasn't the best movie that it could have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
The editing was a bit sloppy.
Too many
ending.
I would say there's too many buttons, and what the terminology of a button is like at the end of every scene. There's a little "oh, my leg hurts" or the "hey, language." There's like a little comedy
getcha.
flavor button thrown in.
It's like everything's like an extended sketch. It's kind of like a sketch movie, like Anchorman.
Yes,
in its own way.
and because they did that, they lessened any of the tension that you might have. Like, Ultron's going to destroy the world. Joke, jokety, joke, jokety, joke.
Let's talk about the elevator. And
There's no real tension, and I think that happened, whether or not it was Joss Whedon's television feelings coming out, or whether he was just like, it needs a joke, this isn't working, or however. But then when you cut it all together, I feel like, look, it's not like it's a horrible film. It's great. There's tons of amazing action. I love the vision. There's elements of that movie that are just incredible. Yeah. But then when you watch it as a whole, it doesn't add up to what the Avengers was, which was like just an incredible experience of watching all these individual characters that you saw in different movies come together to fight a bigger foe.
Yeah. Just to flesh out the story.
Rumors have it that Feige's actually been distancing himself from the committee either from 6 months ago or even as long as 2 years ago. And some of the committee, now that it's kind of disbanded, they'll move over to Marvel TV. Now, this comes off the back of Disney restructuring Marvel, and I use that in like the corporate terms, restructuring, so that it's no longer overseen by the eccentric billionaire Ike Perlmutter. Mm-hmm. Now, there's rumors that there has been script nitpicking. So when the committee gets together, instead of looking at the overall tone and story of said movie, they're there spending a lot of time just kind of going into some of the science behind a few words in the script. And it's that kind of breakdown of the script and those butting of heads in creative direction that may have actually caused Edgar Wright to walk away from Ant-Man. And it sounds like that, exactly what we're talking about with the effects of Age of Ultron, those little things is disjointed because they're not looking at the big picture.
But it's also, we're getting very colored information from sources in both camps. Like, there's folks saying that, like, if you want to get fired from Marvel, the first thing you do is say no to Kevin Feige.
Yeah, there's a target on your back after that. Yeah.
Right. And that he's got a very, very firm hold on this. Other people are saying, that Ike Perlmutter, who's the CEO of Marvel, was noting him to death, and that's why he had to get away. But then you look at, some people are saying that this creative committee is very much responsible for managing the tone that made the early Marvel films so successful. And, they raise the point, it's like a tiny point, but it is a point, that Kevin Feige isn't the one who founded Marvel Studios. He isn't the one who set up the Iron Man deal. That was Ike Perlmutter. That was Avi Arad. Who are we to believe here?
Yeah, the thing that was interesting to me is I've heard nothing but awful things about Perlmutter, and that now Feige doesn't answer to him; he answers to some
directly.
Disney.
He answers to Alan Horn as the CEO of Disney.
So that's called a direct workaround.
Yeah.
It's like me and this other guy are not communicating well anymore. In fact, we hate each other, and yet we're forced to talk to each other. Is there a way that before I leave and go to Universal, where they're willing to pay me $1 billion, I still want to stick around for Phase 3? Can we work this out? Yes. You don't have to talk to Perlmutter anymore. And then in direct, like a week later, they're like, also disband the strange Perlmutter committee.
No.
So I think they're connected, both of those events.
Yeah.
Definitely. You would see the connection there.
Yeah.
But in my eyes, it makes a little more sense that, not to make Kevin Feige like he is the grand master, like some know-it-all of everything.
He's been doing well, though.
Yeah. I know, but it takes a team to make all these films. He's just really good at like, let's get this guy and this guy together, and he's good at organizing.
He's
that
a good
stuff.
producer.
Yeah,
He's basically the showrunner of the Marvel
cinematic world.
Yeah.
So you have someone like Ike Perlmutter who definitely is responding more to shareholders than to fans. So when he cancels the Fantastic Four comic book, like a year ago or so, and also tried to destroy Deadpool out of spite for Fox. It didn't work with Deadpool, but obviously it did work with Fantastic Four. There's not really a fan base comic book wise for Fantastic Four, but some could argue there was none because the sales were plummeting and this and that. It's like,
weren't you saying there was like 38,000?
I think less.
It was it was like one of their lowest circulating titles. Period.
But I mean, but it's funny now because nowadays nobody buys comics, so it's like lowest circulating. It's like compared to what? Like in 1990, someone like Rob Liefeld was selling 1 million copies a month of like weird, strange packet muscle guy. Number 7, like Brigade and weird stuff.
Some people don't even buy comics. Someone will literally post a motion version of the comic on YouTube, and they'll just watch that. The other thing that really was interesting to me in these articles, we did a lot of reading this week on this subject, was someone close to, I think, the Perlmutter camp said that if Kevin Feige had listened to the committee on Age of Ultron about a few specific things, they would have avoided their expensive reshoots that we have no idea how much it actually affected the film. But here's the thing. Whatever their fix was that would have saved them from reshoots also could have been a bad idea. So there's no reason to look at that one-sided. Right. It really is a complex issue, and we can't place blame at anyone's feet.
Yeah, and in fact, especially when you're dissolving a committee made up of Joe Quesada and Brian Bendis, two of the great artists and writers of Marvel for like the last decade or so. I'm sure they had great ideas, but I think what was hidden within the text was like their ideas would just come too late. And that's really frustrating when you're working on a film and you're like, hey, let me get my notes from all these producers. And then, okay, I've got all the notes. All right, let's move on and do that thing we were going to do. Oh, wait, a month later, here come a bunch of notes that are completely the contrary opposite. But they're from people who definitely like are leaning in and saying, hey, after thinking about this, maybe try this, this, and this, and don't do that with this character, try this. You're like, yo, we're already like developed all this stuff. We had production designs, the storyboards done. So that process of having to wait for a committee of like 5 or 6 people to all weigh in at different times could be very frustrating.
Yeah. Do we think overall how do we think this will affect things moving forward?
Well, it sounds like there's going to get a different TV division. It sounds like it's going to be, Feige is going to be completely having his own team with movies, and then the TV division is going to have Ike coming in there and kind of putting some funds into that and making that compete with the DC shows. I don't know about the comics. I'm not sure what's happening there or who's kind of like charging that up. But we could get a completely different tone. And if we're talking about the fact that these movies are having quite a formulaic experience, they are becoming formulaic, I should say. It doesn't sound like Feige's going to take risks into kind of switching things up again.
Yeah.
The TV side of it is where it gets interesting for me because there's not really going to be a ton of change on the surface. The members of the creative committee, from what I read, still will have some kind of input on what's going on there. Jeff Loeb is still 100% in charge of it. The question is, because you were talking about Fantastic Four, was it about shareholders and low sales, or was it about being a big fuck you to Fox?
Right.
If it was a fuck you to Fox, and Ike Perlmutter is a vindictive dude, this actually could work out really well for those of us who are fans of Marvel TV, because he's going to be that much more aggressive in locking down deals that are going to make the Marvel TV experience fantastic to watch. Yeah. So I have to imagine the only thing that could possibly change is they're getting more executive support, more financial support, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see more talent being brought into that TV pool.
Yeah, I think the comic books now exist to serve the movies and television as opposed to develop new things for TV and movies. So I personally would like to see that like reverse, instead of like, I know they're doing Secret Wars again and they're doing Civil War again so that it ties in directly, and hoping that people who are like, hey, I love that Captain America Civil War, what's this comic called Civil War? That's not going to happen, because because you're never going to get those movie fans into a comic book store. Doesn't work that way. So I think you have to like go back to the basics. I think DC and Marvel are both glutting the market with what I think are horrible comics right now, garbage. So I would love to see like whoever's in charge, editors in chief, like go through whatever your multiple tie-ins, and no one's going to buy your $4.99 comic books that you have to buy 50 comics. It doesn't work that way either. I think there's people who are just out of touch with what fans want, and it sucks because there's a lot of people who are like, get that creative team for this comic book series, get that creative team. Like I could reconstruct the entire Marvel like down to 10 series with this writing team, that artistic team, and sales would go through the roof. You just have to get rid of all the rest of the stupid tie-ins and stuff. It's rough.
What else do we have in the way of news, Maud?
The next one is there's a bit of a whoopsie-daisy happening on Reddit and Imgur because Justice League could potentially be getting a new TV series. Someone was in one of the offices. We don't know which one, whether it's a Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network, yeah.
It was Cartoon Network. And there is a poster that no one has seen before because it's brand new and it's being unveiled. It says JLA on it, and there's silhouettes of Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Martian Manhunter, an unidentifiable female.
Zatanna's definitely in there. I don't know
Oh,
if
it
that's
is
the
Zatanna?
female. Zatanna's
And
definitely in
either
there.
Hawkman or
Firestorm.
Hawkgirl.
There is a Hawk persona down the bottom. 5 cut-off partial characters. There's the Green Lantern or Flash. Not sure about that one. But obviously this is a DC show, JLA.
Right.
We should be getting it hopefully soon. But I love these little slips.
There's also people also pointed out that some of the designs look similar to that. They're doing these new straight-to-DVD Batman animated movies that like come with action figures and stuff. So it might be associated with that, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about a new JLA. I mean, they did a kids version like earlier this year, and those are all online. They're little shorts that are great. They're really
Was
fun.
that JLA?
It was Justice League of America.
Then maybe that's what that poster is for, and the internet just got really excited over something that's not going
It
to
could be, but I looked at
That
the
never
I looked at
happens.
the outlines of those characters, and they look different. They just even look different from the way the character designs look for that younger version of the JLA.
Okay.
So they they could be developing a new series.
That would be
dope.
fantastic.
I'd be excited about that.
Yeah. Very curious, though, who the creative team behind that is, because I have to imagine that Bruce Timm and his team are still very busy with the direct-to-DVD movies. Right. But it's very exciting nonetheless. What else we got?
DJ is pretty excited about casting for Luke Cage. I went to talk to you about it, and of course I said Johnny Cage because I'm a gamer. And I'm all about Mortal Kombat.
Cage.
Yeah, there's been 3 new actors hired for Luke Cage. We got Diamondback, and we got somebody that's reported to be Misty Knight, which should be fun.
Great.
Yeah, really
And then
excited.
I heard yesterday Cottonmouth got cast.
Yep.
This one guy.
Cottonmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, with from Sons of Anarchy.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he just get his wisdom teeth taken out?
I don't know.
That would be like the best superpower, to constantly be on like drugged out.
Right. He's all,
Be on the-
what's that? Give me some of that water, man. I got some Cottonmouth going on. Luke Cage, I don't have time for him. Give me some of that pot. Yeah, it's like, that'd be great.
Can we please talk about John Diggle's new stupid helmet?
Oh, absolutely. He basically looks like the corporate version of Magneto.
But it's not even Magneto. He's wearing a Juggernaut helmet, and it does not fit him at all. It
not
just
good.
is like the eye slits are like crazy small. It's like weird and chunky.
You know, we'll
and
see.
it's like photoshopped onto him.
We waited like 4 seasons to finally get Diggle, leading his own, and this is what he gets. It's so anticlimactic, poor thing.
I mean, we'll see. Like in the art they showed at Comic-Con, like he had a visor, so there might be a visor involved. We
Okay,
don't
at
see
least
in
that will
this.
make it a disguise, because this isn't a
Disguise
disguise.
at
You're
all.
just a dude wearing a prop.
I still think his character would be better served over at Flash. Moving over to Flash to be part of their
Ooh.
security detail, because everybody's breaking into Star Labs. They need somebody at the door to be like, no.
Right.
Yeah, I think all of us all
Legends
good.
of Tomorrow when that finally pops off.
I'm excited
A
about
lot
it.
happened in that little teaser, though.
right.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like, I mean, I'm pushing the fact that it felt like later seasons of the X-Men comics when they're doing all of the Apocalypse kind of, what are those, the Sentinels?
Yeah.
They're all coming down because that giant foot came through the wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, this feels familiar.
It's weird that we're seeing this stuff on TV.
Yeah.
That's a weird.
It's cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, and honestly, I feel like most of these characters are better served because they're coming from a serialized medium. Like I don't know how we do it, but I'd much rather see a live action Spider-Man show than another movie.
Like, so he's back in high school doing like the day-to-day activities, fighting off those bullies.
It would be cool.
Yeah.
I've always contended. I wish they would do that with Star Trek. They just have a Star Trek movie, then 10 episodes of a series, then another Star Trek movie, then 10 episodes. You could rock it.
Oh,
like
you
that.
mean the Dark Tower series and movies that are totally going to happen someday, right?
Or if they did that, it would be cool.
It would be freaking
Star
cool.
Trek is such a flexible franchise. You could have the original series characters in movies and have the next gen characters in a TV series, and they wouldn't 100 years apart. They wouldn't even have. It wouldn't be a big deal.
No.
I think they'd be well served. But isn't there a big, like, somebody has the movie rights to Star Trek and somebody has the TV rights,
CBS
and there's a whole
Paramount. They're not friends anymore. They're fighting.
On that note, it is Force Friday today for all my Star Wars fans. What? That's where it's at.
Oh, brother. Are you excited? Are you excited? Tatiana Maslany potentially lead of Star Wars Episode 8.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Tatiana Maslany from Orphan
Orphan
Black is one of the top
For
3 choices
8?
for the lead in Ep 8.
Man, I only just got my head around the Rogue One casting. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, she'd be fantastic.
It's her and 2 other actresses, but I can't remember the other actresses.
It's Olivia Cook, who's someone new, and then the other one,
the girl from Ex Machina.
Alicia
she's
Vikander.
so
Really?
great.
She's excellent.
She's great, but I still want Tatiana because no matter what character they put her in, she'll be because she's
Yeah.
from Black. She
She's a
plays like
chameleon.
29 characters.
Yeah.
She'll be perfect as whatever it is.
She's pretty much solidified her career.
And I feel like out of the 3 of them, she's the only one I could imagine kicking Benicio del Toro's ass.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's interesting that they're talking about new leads and everything. I wonder how that's going to connect to Episode 7. Like, how much turnover character-wise are we going to get? Chapter.
You know, it's hard to tell. A lot of people are like, "Well, how come Ridley's not in there?" It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just another female lead.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like it's not like they're replacing Ridley.
Yeah, well, no, we can only have one. Okay,
there can only be one female per Star Wars.
It's a Star Wars movie. Yeah. Come
on. Do we have any other news stories?
Certainly do. Let's fly through a few of these. Mark Ruffalo was recently interviewed by Bad Taste, which is an Italian outlet, media. So there was a little bit of a broken quote trying to translate what he was saying. But basically, it was talking about whether the Hulk will be in Civil War. Now, the last we saw of the Hulk, he was off the grid, flying stealth somewhere in the Pacific, I believe. And apparently he's saying the reason is too great to be revealed in this movie, Civil War. The reason of where he's going and what he's doing.
Planet Hulk.
I was in the script, but then they removed my character. I don't want to reveal where he is and why. I don't even know if Hulk will be back soon. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's the right call. I think it's absolutely the right call. Better to leave it alone until you have a very good idea of, like, a good reason to bring him back and a great idea of what he was off doing that informs the character. Plus, there's so much going on in one movie.
Yeah,
bring him back.
Hulk.
Bring him back at the end of Infinity War Part 1, where it's like we're losing the tide, and then all of a sudden we've got a Hulk back. Maybe we have a fighting
Secret
chance.
weapon.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the thing, like, I think in Civil War where there's teams, and which team, like, we're doing the who's going to be stronger, and it kind of feels like one team's a little bit stronger than the other one. You throw the Hulk in there, it completely imbalances either way.
Yeah.
So he's just too strong, or he's too much of a what is it when he flicks the switch? Like, you don't know if it's Bruce Banner or the Hulk. You can't really control him, so he doesn't fit in the dynamic.
What if he's just he
cannon.
crash landed that plane in Wakanda and has just been hiding out there ever since, and he's the real villain of Black Panther?
Black Panther.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I personally think Ruffalo's just going to show up on a video monitor, like with I can't tell you where I'm at or whatever, and it could be like one of Marvel's secret endings. Like, here's the first part of a secret ending or whatever.
Yeah.
I think Ruffalo is going to be in it. The Hulk won't be in it, but I'm sure they'll like slap him in somewhere.
I can't wait for the first movie that's entirely a post-credit sequence, where it's just like you open the movie with full credits,
That's right.
and then, with like 30 seconds of credits,
Right.
bit of the movie, and just
Sure.
keep going like that.
Yeah.
Nerds will watch it.
I'll watch it.
I paid $38 for the post-credits movie.
Speaking of Civil War, there are new details about the huge fight scene that is set to happen. So we know that Cap and Bucky are teaming back up. The posters obviously confirm this. So the rumors are, and if you don't want any kind of spoilers, or they're just rumors for now, but if you totally don't want anything at all, just mute it for about 90 seconds. They're saying that
Go get a
obviously...
soda.
Yeah, go get a soda. Have a
Go
pee,
take a piss.
pee
Yeah.
break. Obviously, the Winter Soldier's memory is going to be completely back and remembers that his longtime friends and ally with Cap. Also means that Bucky's going to be playing a huge role in Civil War, and especially which side he's on, which is totally going away from what the comics say, because Winter Soldier originally had a very neutral stand in Civil War. Now he's chosen a side. So that means the whole storyline.
Everyone react really big and physically for all the people who are muted.
Oh my, what the?
Oh, that's what you were doing.
What?
And there's one last rumor thinking that because this is Civil War and this is a Team V team happening here, that Iron Man may be using the bleeding edge armor.
But then the other thing that I think is the most interesting and controversial, I hope you're still muted, is that
Spider-Man's
apparently
going to die at the end of the movie.
No,
I can't believe Spider-Man dies at what?
In this universe, Spider-Man's been operating without web shooters, and Tony Stark designs his web shooters.
He gives him the technology.
He gives him the technology.
Yeah.
So what? Why would he call himself Spider-Man without webs? How is he getting
climbing
around?
on walls
Yeah, he's
and
climbing
stuff
around
and
walls.
got his
He's
powers
jumping.
from spiders.
He might, we don't know. We know he's going to be like in the first part of the movie. He's going to just basically have his own kind of, which makes sense to me. He's in high school. Where did he get the sewing ability to make this incredible and design
Tobey
sensibility?
Yeah.
To make a cool
The
Spider-Man
money to
costume.
get this weird
so it's
mesh
like,
material.
he's wearing a hoodie, and he's like, hey, I created this look, and then I'm sure that Tony Stark designs his outfit at the end. He's like, Jarvis, make him something with red and blue, and it's, Jarvis designs all of Iron Man's outfits. Fire engine red and all that. It's just a throwaway.
Yeah.
It's such a quick way to make a cool outfit. And he's like, and I beefed up these, you can't control your webbing. I'm sure he has organic, web shooting, but it's not controllable. So he creates it. It's like the best
that would
of
kind
both
of be cool if he was
worlds.
like, and he's a teenager and you can't control when it's coming
You know,
out or
like
how
teenage
fast.
boys do.
Premature web slinging abilities. Oh my God, I shot off again.
I'm sorry.
That'll probably be your post-credit sequence.
Controlling
where,
mechanism that
Wait,
Stark.
didn't they already do that bit, that gag in Amazing Spider-Man
Listen,
1?
we can't have enough of that gag, all right?
Yeah.
So
why not?
relatable.
That gag has to get done, but how about in a shorter way?
Yeah.
That'll probably be your post-credit sequence of Spider-Man getting his new costume. Although, if Tony Stark's the one that gets him, how's this movie going to end? Is it going to end with everybody chill with everybody else? We're cool.
I get it.
I certainly hope not.
Yeah, well, especially going into Infinity War, I think it'd be good if everybody was kind of scattered.
Yeah, I say scatter it up. I mean, in fact, this footage that we saw, there's some Civil War footage leaked where they're basically running at each other behind a FedEx parking lot or something. It looks so cheap. It's why are those superheroes fighting with all those trucks behind them? It just
Rudy Loya in the chat says Spider-Man Noir used a grappling hook. Not
Spider-Man Noir?
Spider-Man Noir, I don't think had powers.
Yeah. So that would
that's
explain why
what
he doesn't have
explains
He's
that.
from a
it's
different
not
universe.
noir.
Yeah.
Rudy.
We've got rumored details on Ezra Miller's Flash. Now, apparently, he ran into a fan. They had a bit of a photo, and this fan kind of grilled him about some pretty confidential things, which Ezra was more than happy to tell him. Of course, said fan just posted all over the internet what these things were. So let's talk about what could be happening. Take it with a grain of salt because this is a diehard fan kind of saying what they spoke about. There's no real hard evidence from it. But one, Barry Allen's hair will be kept long for Batman v Superman, which means the Flash will be in Batman v Superman. Well, at least Barry Allen, which is kind of cool. His costume will have more of a post-apocalyptic look, and he'll be leaner and ripped instead of bulky. It's Ezra Miller. Of course he's going to be leaner and more ripped. Can you picture him jacked?
No, I cannot
Exactly.
at all. I don't know if his body is capable of
I
that.
don't think so either. The post-apocalyptic costume is throwing me off a little bit because that's something that we haven't seen ever before.
Well,
not-
there's a rumor that I actually really enjoy, which is that this Flash actually comes from the future. The
that's
future,
cool.
which is all kinds of messed up, and he comes back to try to fix it.
Right.
So that's why he looks post-apocalyptic, and it gives the DC expanded universe a place to go. They have some kind of destination. It's why the only reason why Heroes Season 1 worked at all is because we're like, something bad is coming.
Yeah.
Something's
I
going to
also
happen.
like how they set that post-apocalyptic 5 years in the future, but they abandoned it after the first. It's like you could have given yourself a great 5-season arc.
Yeah.
Wow. But it'd be interesting. I honestly would. This was an idea I thought would be cool before I saw the trailer and saw how dark the movie was going. It's open with, if you're supposed to be showing all these little characters, open with Superman racing the Flash. Just because I want to see that. And if he shows up again post-apocalyptic at the end of the movie, you have nice little bookends.
That's so nerdy.
Yeah.
That's just too.
DJ
that's
Wooldridge.
That's too drippy for normal people. They'd be
Yeah.
like, "Why is he racing the red person?" No one even knows who the Flash
is.
I know
He's got a hit
he
TV
has a
show,
hit TV
okay?
show, and still nobody knows. Him.
Yeah.
You've
It's
just
like-
met your sweaty match, I feel.
He's oversweat.
So we got a tweet here from Joseph Alon, who watches the show a lot at Joe Alonzi. He says, Tony Todd has been cast as Professor Zoom. What if Professor Zoom is Wally West's father in his universe. #SH Roundup. Now, Tony Todd was cast as the voice of Zoom because the identity of Zoom is not going to be revealed until further along in the season. So it doesn't necessarily, Zoom isn't necessarily African American.
Yeah.
We were tossing around the writer's room this week potential theories, and my favorite one is that Zoom is actually Barry's father from another universe.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
That would be very
Or
cool.
Barry from another universe.
Barry from the other
Or
universe.
Ezra Miller from the...
Too many universes.
Right? I
I instantly now don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I've been watching Flash. I haven't finished the season yet, and I can't wait
Oh,
to
it's
see the
good.
Grodd episode.
It's great.
Yeah.
I'm slowly catching
Team
up.
Grodd.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm on episode 6.
Nice.
Oh,
you got
it's
a way to
great.
go.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
could not believe how I got emotional. Like,
Yeah.
It's like so well written.
Yeah.
The show gets just better and better.
That's what
and
everybody
better.
told me. They were like, the first 5 aren't even nothing. I'm like, yo, I love them. So I
Yeah.
can't wait for the rest.
Yeah.
So.
Again, it's crazy that we live in a time like in the second season we're getting Jay Garrick and everything. It's like that's
It's weird.
it's happening.
But Jay Garrick
strange.
and Wally West
I know.
and Jesse Quick.
The Speed Force.
Yeah.
What?
No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's weird that we live in this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, should just kill ourselves.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's pretty. It won't get
Yeah.
any better.
It's just not going to get
It
better.
can only be disappointing. It's time to end it all.
But are they doing too much too soon?
I don't think so. Because again, you're talking about like
I think
what,
yes.
like
It's only season 2.
70 years of stories. Like,
Right.
can you run out?
I don't
I-
think so.
I just think you're blowing your load super quick.
But see, I that's one of the reasons I like DC TV Arrow Flash way better than anything Marvel's doing because Marvel plays this waiting game like, oh no, we're saving Bullseye for season 4 of Dare. Why? Who cares?
Because they're
Just do
aligning
it.
with the movies.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's boring. It makes for boring TV.
You have to wait. Yeah.
You know, after episode 6 of Daredevil, when things get deadly dull for the next 4 episodes, it's like roll out Bullseye, something, do something.
Well, I'm excited for season 2.
Yeah, I'm super
looking
stoked,
forward to it.
especially since it's like we got Punisher, we got Elektra.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you need those things. I'm saying you need something to keep. If you're filming 13 episodes, you need to be doing something
Needs
for
to be
those.
meaty.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's do one more.
Keeping on television, I'm just going to get these. Oh, we've got so many. Just 3 bits of TV news really
Okay.
quickly. If you haven't seen iZombie, the good news is CW is actually showing the entire season 1 for the next 5 to 6 weeks leading up back into season 2.
Only 13 episodes. Check it out.
Definitely watch this one. It's such a great show.
And read the comic, Mike Allred. Awesome.
Hey.
It will be a completely different experience. Yeah.
CWTV.com if you want to check out that whole season. We cannot encourage it enough. And in 6 weeks' time, we'll get season 2, which will be good. The official synopsis of the first episode of Gotham season 2 is out there. Do you watch Gotham?
I watched one episode.
I watched one episode.
I thought
had-
it was okay. You know what? The season 2 trailer made me want to watch Gotham.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, they got the Joker. The one episode I watched was like, I can't even remember what it was like. The Penguin was
Poison
with his
Ivy.
mom, which I love Carol Kane. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is kind of not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I might watch season 1.
You might watch an episode of season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so Rise of the Villains is season 2, and I think it's called Damned If You Do.
Yeah. Is that the name of the episode?
The episode, yeah.
Okay.
So, just to catch people up in a not too, it's still a little bit of a vague thing. Gordon's moral compass is wavering. You've got Penguin kind of doing his thing and he's getting a bit power hungry. And Bruce Wayne continues discovering secrets from his father's office. So there you go.
He's never going to become Batman.
If you want to check out the
Got a
30-second
freaking cave. He's just going to do nothing with it for the rest of the series.
No.
30-second promos up online if you do want to check it out. And staying on season synopsises, Supergirl's pilot synopsis for episode 1 is finally out if you manage to avoid the leak that happened. How long ago was that now? 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Longer, maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to read it all out, but it basically kind of says everything
Have you guys
that we
seen
spoke
Supergirl
about.
yet?
We watched it.
The first episode?
Yeah.
I actually liked it.
I liked it a lot.
I was,
He
too.
liked it a lot.
I was
These
surprisingly...
I
guys,
thought it
not
was
so
so
much.
You know
corny.
what? It reminded me of Joss Whedon's Buffy, but with like this other it was like a lighter-hearted Superman.
It
So
was
all the
fluffy
people-
Buffy.
Look, all the people who complain about Man of Steel, I want a Superman that saves people.
Yep.
Watch Supergirl because it
Exactly.
has that lighter touch to it.
Fluffy Buffy.
It was fun. I
Hashtag.
love
Fluffy
It felt,
Buffy, that's
it
so
felt
good.
like it had all the elements that I would expect from a Superman show.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. All the people who hate on the dark version of Superman, watch this and shut up.
I don't think
Right?
I don't think
Jesus.
tone is in any way the pilot's problem. It's all in dialogue and characterization.
Oh my goodness! And the choreography, where it sounds
and
like
the
she's
fight
literally trying
choreography.
to play a game of tennis.
You look, I'll give you. There's like a really cheesy, bad special effects origin sequence on like some strange version of Krypton that they didn't render.
Yeah.
they didn't finish rendering it. It's like add a little more detail to that. And then some of the fight choreography is like, they're floating on strings. You should have removed the top. There's some certain stuff, but hey, I could forgive it because it was fun.
There's a lot
it
of
was
room
fun.
for it to go.
And I liked the characters in it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You can, it's well established of where she's working, who her allies are going to be, what are the relationships are. There's a little bit of a twist. I'm obviously going to watch the season and really give it a go. I'm not going to just be like, ugh, like I did with Gotham, unfortunately. And then one last one is, do we have a picture that we can show of Wes Bentley? He's in American Horror Story. He was in last season and is going to be back this season. He basically has come out saying that he wants to play Batman.
Who doesn't? Is that like?
Yeah.
If I were an actor, I'd want to play Batman. If I were an actor and were handsome, I'd want to play Batman.
I want to play
I
Batman.
think he could be a really, really good Batman. He's played the villain in Ghost Rider, so he's got
And Jonah Hex as
yeah,
well.
that's it. So he's kind of got a comic book experience. What I'm taking out from this, I almost feel like comic book movies are so like sought after that people are literally now selling themselves into it. Ronda Rousey for Captain Marvel.
They get their fans to Photoshop them into the.
Tyrese Gibson with Green Lantern. They're literally promoting themselves for these roles now.
You know,
But
it's great.
here's-
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, TV Batman. Look, if we're going to do a TV Justice League and we're gonna have a TV Superman that goes on a Supergirl, if we're gonna have a TV Batman, we could do worse than Wes Bentley.
That is actually a very good
so
point.
good
Wes
looking.
Bentley was really good in American Horror Story. He had a small role in the latest season as.
This guy could be
the
Bruce
devil.
Wayne and
Easily.
Batman.
And also, he's not doing too well in the movie division because he was in We Are Your Friends,
Yeah.
and he was also in another film that's like in the top 10 worst box office
Yeah,
openings.
so
He's
maybe
like,
TV's where he should be.
and he's a good actor too, so he's not getting his breaks. But,
Yeah.
you know, Batman's aiming too high. I think, like Chris Evans just said, you know, hey, I'm gonna re-up. Like
Yeah.
he said, he'll do as many Captain America films as Marvel wants him to.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause-
he just announced that this morning.
Wow.
So I was like, I
What-
was really happy because
what
everyone was like,
blackmail do they have on him?
no. He said basically, he was like, look, you know what? I'm in the greatest series. Marvel has yet to have a misfire. I was like crazy for even like thinking about not wanting to do the first Avenger because he said I looked back at myself and I was like, what an asshole. That's what he said. I was being a dick. I'm so happy I did the film.
Yeah.
So I'll be in as many as they want. Like he's contracted to do Infinity Wars 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But then he's going to do Captain America 4,
He wanted to
5, and
direct.
6.
He wanted to actually stop acting to direct.
That
He's
might be the
directing.
reasoning. Maybe he'll direct Cap 4.
Well, he's directing. He's that's what he's doing right now. He's doing press for his movie that he directed.
Yeah.
But I think what affords actors like Michael Fassbender and Chris Evans the chance to do all these independent films and to
'cause
stretch
they're
out as
making
actors
big
is because
coin.
they have every 3 years they're doing this giant tentpole
Yeah.
film where then they can afford to like, hey, I want to do this experimental movie.
Yeah.
They
Go
can
for
help.
it. You're
Yeah, so I
marketable.
think it's
Yep.
awesome.
And especially in the Fassbender's case, you could do a lot worse than his Magneto in those movies.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
It's like
Okay.
Obi-Wan with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I think
Just
it's
wanted to
time that
learn
we
more
get
songs.
into our question of the day.
Yes.
Yes. So we asked all of you on the chat and on Twitter to let us know, do you think there has ever been a good Superman movie, or will there ever be a good Superman movie? What does that require? What does it take? So hit us up via the hashtag #SHRoundup.
Do you think
Join
it'll be
the
Henry
conversation.
Cavill that actually makes Superman the?
I have all
like-
the faith in the world
Yeah.
that they could make a great Superman movie with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I do too. He's a perfect Superman. I think there's going to be a lot of growth in Batman v Superman with the Superman character. There's going to be a lot more growth in Man of Steel too. I personally feel like, what was that weird skull called from the Man of Steel?
Oh, the Cryptex?
Yeah, it was the Codex.
The Codex,
So
yeah.
that got burned into him, but that's basically like, if you look at Superman Lives, that's like Brainiac's skull ship.
It is.
So basically,
Yeah.
what I think that is going to be is the origin of Brainiac.
That'd be crazy.
So
Can
because
I tell you?
think about the Matrix and what
Sweaty,
and what
sweaty.
like in Krypton, basically it was like illegal to have a human birth. It was all
Yes.
this like futuristic kind of like Matrixy
Yeah.
birthing stations. What ran that? So I was like, the
that'd be
program
cool.
that
That'd be
ran
cool.
that is probably, they're not going to be codename Brainiac. Someone else is going to like,
Yeah.
it'll be Daily Planet, call it Brainiac
Yeah.
or whatever. It's going to be, that's a corny
I
name,
like
but
that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a perfect way to segue into Man of Steel.
How have we never had Brainiac in a Superman movie?
Well, we almost did with
We
Superman Lives.
almost did.
Christopher
but like,
Walken
it
was going to be
feels like-
Brainiac.
Which
He
is
would
I
be
need
so
in my
good.
life.
I know.
Oh my god. But it feels like such a
Superman.
no-brainer. Like, why did we even? I get it, Zod, Man of Steel, but like,
Sure.
just do Brainiac.
Man of Steel 2 will have Brainiac, I guarantee you.
Okay, let's talk about these rumors that you're
you seem pretty confident that Man of Steel 2 is happening.
You were in
I
a
know.
lot
I
of
don't know why people are saying
publications.
it's on indefinite hold. It's coming from the same like weird rumor mill. Would people rather be like, I heard somebody said it's on indefinite hold, or they're making Man of Steel 2 with George Miller?
Yeah.
Which one sounds better?
The second one.
Yeah. So,
Easily.
and I could say
sounds
like
great.
and from the the weird mysterious people of the inside world that as if you're making television and stuff like that, you're like always like hanging out with other people who are making films and this and that. We're always talking about stuff. So I would never like reveal sources and get people in trouble or anything. But like of the multiple sources, one of them, Umberto from Heroic Hollywood, he's one of the guys that I was talking with that about. And of course he's Captain Rumor. He loves to break stories.
This guy is the same what's his last name again?
Umberto Gonzalez.
If it's the same guy I'm thinking
El
of.
Mayimbe.
Yeah, he periscoped about the Kevin Feige breaking up the MC.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
no,
he
but
periscoped that.
He's a fun guy. He loves breaking stories, and we had a long talk about that. He was on my show, Collider Heroes, and he's on our show a lot of times. He's really fun to talk about. He's a super nerd, and like that's one of the things we were talking about. Like, yeah, of course, George Miller was seen on set. He's talking about stuff. Which one is he gonna direct? Well, he's not directing Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
He's a gigantic Superman fan.
Yeah.
But
He was gonna make a Justice League movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He just made an incredible. The man is 70. Made one of the best action films of the year, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yep.
Incredible movie.
Yep.
And
I couldn't
the woman
think of a better director.
This is a fun fact. So we're talking. She's unknown in the rest of the world because she's Australian. But Mad Max, when he did Mad Max, sorry, he hired Megan Gale, who was supposed to be the original Wonder Woman.
Right.
Yeah,
in
she played
Justice League.
the Valkyrie.
She was the
yeah,
Valkyrie.
Yeah, she was really good in
And I have
that.
a
For the
feeling-
few scenes she was in, she made an impression on me.
Yeah, totally.
There you go. So she was supposed to be our original Wonder Woman. So I don't think he would actually even want Gal Gadot to be that when he envisioned Megan Gale so much.
Yeah, for as much as I love Mad Max Fury Road, the rumor of him doing Superman was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
please.
Please.
You know what? What I've heard also that's on the table for them, basically, it's just budget.
Yeah.
It's like what
Right.
George wants is a slightly bigger budget than what Warner Brothers wants to spend on Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure that out right now.
They're probably trying to cut back because
And
of the mixed reception of Man of Steel.
It's not even a mixed reception. It was a hit. I
Yeah.
mean, it's sort of like, it's weird when you read about like Avengers Age of Ultron, Disney's, bummed out about it with $1
Disappointment,
billion.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
look, I don't even know what's real anymore. I give up. The $1 billion you earned is a failure. I'm angry. And it's
Because
like,
they consider it a flop because it didn't make more money than the first one.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
I feel that George Miller's in a position with the success of Mad Max that he could literally be like, I'm worth the money. I will pull it in. Look at what I've done. Give me
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah, but I really, again, and watching the Death of Superman Lives, like the idea of the menagerie and Superman fighting monsters and stuff. Like, why is this not a thing? It'd be so cool.
I think it would be
Instead,
amazing.
No, DJ. Here's what we'll do. We'll have him catch a plane.
Yeah,
Again.
every movie there was like one of the art designs was basically like a 4-armed Rancor. It sells itself. Give me my money now. Like, what
right?
the hell
Now
are you
you're
thinking?
appealing to me.
Yeah, like
Four-armed Rancor? A bone won't be able to get that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it is entirely possible to make a great Superman movie. It's always one thing or another. Like, you look at the Superman 2, the Dick Donner cut, like, the movie that he would have made would have been excellent.
Yeah.
Like, the only weak part of Superman the movie is Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor for
Really?
me.
I love his Lex Luthor.
Oh,
It's of the time.
I know it's of
It's
the
Superman
it is
the
of
movie,
time.
and then the Superman 2, where he's like constantly talking about, well, General,
Well, that's
give
great.
me Australia. Yeah, I love him in those first Superman 1 and 2 movies. Yeah, he's in Superman 4 with like Ducky. You know what I'm saying? It's like less said, like we said. But Superman 1 and 2, the Donner cut, it as a little kid, when I saw Superman 2, the scenes that bothered me, even like I think I was like 10 or 11, the scenes that bothered me were all the scenes that Richard Lester directed. Even as a kid, I couldn't tell what was different about it. I could tell there was something different. Like, why is that guy still on the phone talking while the villains are breathing? That's corny and stupid. And it's like years later you find out that's that idiot.
Yeah.
Who added. He's like, even though 70% was done, I've been standing behind him waiting to stab him in the back. All right, Sal Kynes, I'll take over. It's like, you bastard. And then he gets the flavor he deserved. He directed Superman 3 without being able to use like 70% of Richard Donner's movie, and you get what you get. Superman 3 is garbage.
Yeah.
So.
I remember there was a documentary with the Salkinds, and they're like, well, you got to remember, Superman 3 did well at the box office.
Yeah.
Superman
It didn't
4
kill the franchise.
Yeah,
4
4
killed the
franchise.
franchise.
When we were out of there, it's like, yeah, because everybody saw 3, and they decided
know.
not to go see the 4th one.
Those Salkinds. It's fun when you read the history about those people.
Man.
I bought an Ilya Salkind signature for my poster at WonderCon this year.
Nice.
$25.
Yeah, he was gone right when I went there because
Oh,
I was
really?
going to try to interview him because I had just gotten John
my
Peters
God.
and I was like, be great just to talk to him for a minute.
Bless
But
you.
but he had just left.
Yeah, Superman
I
Alley.
missed him. Yeah.
It's like all this Superman the movie.
There's the
people.
kid who played the baby
Yeah.
who lifted the truck, but now he's like a grown man, bald. Like, hey, what's going on? I was like, cool, dude. I'm just looking for Ilya. Have you seen him? Oh, he was here. I was like, damn.
Damn, I just missed him. I think the thing a lot of people, for me as a fan of the character, I feel like the thing that short circuits a lot of Superman movies is people are like, oh man, what do we give to Superman to make him relevant? It's like, no, you get rid of all the bullshit and get down to what made him work, because he's been popular all this time, and it's right there in the character. It's not extra things to like, oh man, let's give him a kid that he had with Lois Lane that she doesn't remember having sex with him and all that. Like,
he can
what?
float
You would
outside
remember-
creepily.
What's happening?
You would remember having sex with Superman unless you died.
He needs to murder somebody so he can be relevant again.
I know, right?
Does he? Like, does he
He's
need
got
to?
magic kisses, Mon.
Like,
No.
Magic.
do you need to give
Kryptonian kisses.
that stuff to him, or
He can fly around the planet and make time go backwards.
That's one of the things in your movie that they talked about when he was thinking about proposing to Lois, and he literally blows out of his Clark Kent clothes. It's like, that sounds awesome. That sounds so cool. I've never seen it. And that's the thing that you miss with a lot of movies. Is like, you want to give. I think Owen, one of our editors, was quoting Werner Herzog this week. Is like, you want to give them one image that they've never seen before.
Right. Say it like Werner.
I can't.
You want to give them one image that they've never seen before. That sounded like Mako. Sorry.
I was going to say that sounded like Shredder.
I feel like everyone makes the complaint about origin stories, and I feel like we don't need the Superman origin story anymore.
Yeah.
We get it, we know it. I like the revisionist take in Man of Steel, where you kind of get a slightly different origin story. But now they're just primed to go.
Yeah.
Give us someone who can really screw with Superman on an emotional and mental level. The big thing with Superman is that loneliness, but then also the pressure of knowing you could solve any problem, you could do anything, you could take out every dictator on
But
the
there's still
planet,
only one of
and
you.
Yeah.
holding back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would love to see a Mr. Mixia-Spitlick, but that's never going to happen.
I think that would be, unless you did it like Alan Moore did it. Like he did a great missile plick with
Whatever
the last,
Happened to Me Tomorrow,
that was like him as a freaky creature. It was like, you think I look like this?
Yeah.
It looks like a demon.
Yep.
It's like a frightening creature from another dimension.
Yeah.
That would be a cool one. I think the clownishness of Superman has to be. You bury that with the 50s. You know, that's got to go. So.
Oh, and again, I think a character like that would work really well. Work really well on Supergirl, when you can have an episode where
That's
Hugh
lighter.
shows up
Yeah.
and fucks with people and then is out. You know,
Which they probably will do. I think.
Yeah.
I think the Man of Steel 2 will probably deal with a lot of things you're talking about. Is like, where does Superman fall in this world? You
Yeah.
know, and also probably bringing in that Kryptonian heritage. And what are you? Are you human or are you
Yeah.
Kryptonian? And
Yeah.
you got to make that call. So.
What do you think? I want to know your thoughts about Jesse Eisenberg being Luthor now.
You know, time will tell. I don't like that. The red capes are coming. I don't like
red
his
capes
delivery.
No.
But, you know, sometimes Jesse Eisenberg is great and sometimes he bothers me. So,
Yeah.
but it's not him. It's whatever character he's playing in movies. I
Oh,
liked
really?
him.
You can differentiate?
Yeah,
I
I
can't.
liked him in Zombieland. I mean, so it's really like I have to see the movie Batman
Yeah.
v Superman. It could be incredible. It could be like it's the movie that could set up all the rest of these other films.
Yeah.
Or if it's horrible, that would be bad for all the rest of these films.
Yeah.
So on the weird rare chance that Batman v Superman is completely horrible and disappointing, they do have to like kind of line up like people like George Miller, like incredible other directors to take on the mantle of.
Yeah.
They've already got Ben Affleck doing the Batman.
Yeah.
They gotta set all the rest of these people up, you know, with amazing directors, amazing stories. So
well, and you seem to be doing the opposite of Marvel. Marvel's going for like cheap people.
right.
It's sometimes, you know, like the Russos knock it out of the park, whereas the DC's like David Ayer and Justin Lin,
Yeah.
and, you know, George Miller.
Big
You know
hitters,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
DJ, you got a pull list for us?
I do have a pull list
Woo!
this week. Oh shit.
Oh.
So next week we're talking about Superman Action Comics 44. If you haven't been keeping up with that, it's been really cool. Greg Pak killing it. Gotham Academy number 10. As I've said before, it's like the best Batman animated series that's not on TV. It's on a comic. For people that are not reading Saga regularly, Saga Volume 5 comes out next week. So it's a good way to catch up. Also, you've heard me praise Warren Ellis's Moon Knight run. If you've checked it out and you liked it, he and Declan Shalvey are doing a comic at Image called Injection. This weird sci-fi craziness over there. Over on the Marvel end of things, again, Secret Wars, everything's tying into that. But I've heard very mixed things about Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. So I've heard some not so great things, but I've heard some really good things, and it sounds of all the tie-in stuff, it sounds very pertinent. And a very cool, interesting take on the character, at least. And also, we're having Sam Humphries, Marvel writer, stop by as a guest in the coming weeks, and he's writing Planet Hulk, and that's on issue number 5.
A lot of people talking
That's
about
like,
that.
isn't Greg Land doing that? The artwork on that?
Yeah, I believe so.
I just got that just because it was like the future imperfect Hulk
Yeah.
fighting Doctor Doom, and I was like checking out the art. I was like, this is pretty badass. So like I like some of this. I've been buying the Secret Wars and then 1 or 2 of the tie-ins, but I have to thumb through them all. It's just like literally like
whenever they do a big tie-in, it's like I'm buying the main book unless it sucks, and that's it.
Right.
That's what I've gotten to because I can't fucking afford it.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but I sprinkle fucking buy a couple of them.
Yeah,
Like,
every
check
once
that
in a while,
one.
yeah.
So-
Like I did the same thing with Convergence. I was although I dropped Convergence at issue like 2. Yeah. But actually, I know we're winding down. I have a quick question for you. I think a lot of our fans would wonder. Obviously, you funded at least part of Death of Superman Lives through crowdfunding.
Yeah.
I'm crowdfunding a short film next week.
Right on.
Do you have any advice for people like me
Yeah,
or
of
for
course.
people in the audience?
I think anybody who wants to do a Kickstarter or crowdfunding. In fact, I work with John Campea over at Collider, and he just started a Kickstarter
Oh, for his
yesterday.
book?
Nice.
For his book, The Pride,
He
which
told
he's
me
been
about that
working
book
on for
back-
like 4 years.
Yeah.
And I had a long talk with him like 2 weeks ago where he was like, should I do this or should I crowdfund? I said, don't go with anybody else but Kickstarter because that's a reputable crowdfunding source.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of other ones, I'm not saying any of the other ones are bad, but the other ones that if you don't reach that money
Yeah.
that you're asking
You
for,
don't get it.
you don't get. No, with Kickstarter, that you don't get it. But
Oh.
other ones, they're like, asking for 10, but I only made 3, but I get that 3. But then how are you going to deliver what you were asking for?
If you
So
don't-
it makes a little like all or nothing, I think, is better to have it on the table. But what people should do, like yourself,
Yeah.
make a great 1 minute, little video explaining what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Try to keep it short and sweet. Also, don't ask for more than what you really need, except for maybe by a couple thousand, and add in your shipping.
Yeah.
Because that's what screwed me. Like I'm still paying an exorbitant amount of shipping
Okay.
for all these rewards.
The
that I'm-
perks, yeah.
the
Yeah.
perks. Because I didn't add that all in properly. But
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, it's like you learn by mistakes.
Yeah,
So if I could tell anyone like, hey, definitely like if you're doing something and you've like whatever it is, what are you doing?
Short film.
Short films.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're like, you might need like 10 grand,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. So you're like, make sure that if you're delivering people DVDs,
Yeah.
that you're asking for like, because people are like, I'm not going to spend $40 on a DVD. You're not spending $40 on a DVD.
Yeah.
You're spending $40 to help that
Exactly,
person
the thing.
make
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
And as a thank you, I'm sending you a DVD.
Exactly.
The DVD is like, it's like $10 or whatever. Maybe it's
My
20
name's
bucks.
in the credits.
Yeah, but name in the credits is really important for when you're making something
Yeah.
of a media.
Yeah.
Through the green.
It's a good thing to offer. Physical media like,
Yeah.
as a higher perk.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you could
yeah.
always nowadays, like with our digital platforms, you could send them a digital version and make that $25.
Yeah.
So it's those kinds of cool things that you can do. But definitely add in shipping costs and add in like the extra. Like it's going to take me an extra. You don't know because it always takes. Any project you do takes like 3 times longer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the perks are actually the part that stresses me out the most
Yeah.
because it involves math.
Yeah.
And
It's
and,
like,
and
fuck,
do
how
as
much
few
for the-
perks as possible.
Such a
I'm
Okay.
serious.
Yeah.
Like DVD, that's it.
Yeah.
And then like another perk would be $150. The DVD and a poster and something else. I don't know.
Yeah, keep it
But
simple.
Keep it real
Yeah, because
simple.
in an
Okay.
ideal world, I'd be like, $5, you get the short film.
Yeah.
Let's call it a day. we just call it a day.
John Syme in the chat wants to know what your movie is. Can you tell us anything?
It's a psychosexual horror thriller.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So
Starring
listen,
Sam Basham.
Listen, if you like graphic violence and you like sex, you'll like my short.
Man.
Yeah, and
It's already funded.
You also love a website called Lively.
Yeah, we've finished principal photography. We've already put thhousants of dollars, our own money into it. We just need a little bit for post,
Just finishing
color
funds?
correction, audio design,
Well,
all
definitely,
that jazz.
definitely like be transparent.
Yeah.
Like say this is what we need the money for.
Yeah.
Like that's what you do. You write out a budget.
Yeah.
For myself, I had to do 2 crowdfunders because I ran out of money and I was like,
Yeah.
hey, it's taking me way longer than I thought it would.
Yeah.
We had all these extra expenses when I was broke, so I went into even further debt. So it'll happen if you're making a feature film. Shorts are a little bit easier, but they still take money. So.
Yeah. So,
And one last thing, Star Wars, I have to say, because I'm the only person that talks Star Wars on here.
What is Star Wars?
Star Wars is an epic space opera.
Sounds cool.
So the toys are out today, #Force Friday. A lot of people lining up to go in stores to get them, but you can also buy it online. There's a little sneaky for you. There's a bunch of toys that have been announced, including stuff for Force Awakens, which I will not be purchasing until I see the movie, because I was talking to Schnepp about this. Imagine buying, a nice little statuesque of Captain Phasma, maybe, and then you realize when you get in there, she betrays your actual favorite character. And
But she looks cool.
She looks so
See that Captain
cool.
Phasma and Kylo Ren. I don't even care if Force Awakens
Looks
sucks.
Yeah.
so cool.
I just want those figures because there's that's like a silver stormtrooper.
Yeah, looks
They immediately went to your kid zone and they're like,
Yeah.
shake. JJ was like, it's like the Phantasm Orb, which I have in my office.
Yeah.
I'm like, bought. And even
Phantasm.
Captain Phasma sucks. It's
Yeah.
like Boba Fett flies into a weird larval creature at the end. You're like, that was
"Damn it,
sucked.
That's how you die.
Still the most popular figure.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
because
of all
it's
time.
silver.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, John, people can get your movie at tdoslwh.com.
Yep, www.tdoslwh.com. I've
Yeah.
learned to say
Yeah,
it quickly.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only place you can get it right now. You can get a digital download of the film, plus the 10 hours of extras by clicking on the Super Pack digital download, or you can get like a Blu-ray like this.
Woo!
So
Do it. Do
those are
yourself a
available
favor.
at our website, www.tdoslwh.com. Order one and support independent film. I'm releasing it myself just because all the different places I went to, I owe money. I've got private investors and other people I'm trying to pay off. Plus, it costs money. Stamps.com, making the Blu-rays. It's a process that takes and makes money. So I decided, at least for right now, I'm going to be just putting it out myself so that we can get paid off and get into the black, so to speak.
and again, it's not just for Superman fans. If you like superhero movies, if you like movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how to
thanks.
make movies,
Yeah,
the
right
Hollywood, way things happened. Nick Cage talking about this character in a way, which I don't know, you learn more about him as well.
Yeah.
And Tim Burton fans.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're talking about Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage trying to make a Superman movie. So this is a peek at the highest tier of blockbuster tentpole
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Yeah, with Kevin Smith sprinkled liberally.
Yeah,
throughout.
little bit
He's
throughout.
He's
Little
so much
nice little
fun.
sprinkles.
Yeah.
And John, where else can people find you? They can find you on Collider and they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm just at Jon Schnepp. It's just JonSchnepp. So follow me there, or also you can follow me on my at TDOSLWH to find out more about The Death of Superman Lives. Next year, I'll be launching into making a narrative feature film, so I'll keep you guys all posted.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
Check out my Twitter, like I said. I'm also on Facebook. You can follow me there, but just at Jon Schnepp is where I'm at.
Thank you so much for coming, John.
Ah,
It's
thanks. It
been
was great talking nerd stuff with y'all. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. Maud, where can people find you?
At Maud Garrett on pretty much all the social medias.
Yeah.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash because my name was taken.
Fair enough. And you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. And hey, if you watch The Strain, I don't know if you do, I'm kind of pissed off at it right now. I review it every Monday on AfterBuzz TV, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you want to watch that. And all the time over here. Well, you'll see more of me soon. Soon. So as always, this show airs Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come watch us live. If not, listen to us on iTunes, listen to us on SoundCloud, watch on YouTube. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye now.
May the force be with you.
Force Friday.